Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Grande Bouffe.
The Big Feast.
With myself, Cole Smithey, and my co-host, Mike Lacy. Good evening, Mike.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Cole?
I did manage to see The Fate of the Furious.
I heard you loved it.
In Santa Barbara. I was in California for my stepfather's memorial service and also for my niece-in-law. I guess just my niece.
Yeah, I guess you go with niece.
Niece. She graduated from nursing school, but since I had surgery on my foot, I couldn't really get around too good on the crutches. So I got to see a movie instead of going to the graduation.
You didn't want to go to the graduation, try to get a bunch of free work from people? Like, what do you think of this? Is it infected?
I gotta say, I really enjoyed just going to the movies in Santa Barbara and checking out State Street.
We I think we were talking off air a while ago about going to the movies by yourself. I prefer it.
It's so civilized.
There's a big stigma to it. I remember I was terrified to go to the movies for the first time by myself.
Really?
I thought people would be looking at me weird.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I think New York is a much more tolerant society to like go to a movie by yourself.
Well, I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, and there was an art house cinema about 2 blocks from me on Grace Street, the Biograph Cinema. And I saw my first Rated X movie there with my fake high school ID.
You pretended you were in high school?
It was we had every high school had little identification cards.
Yeah, we had that. Yeah.
And so mine, I hijacked it. So it was I forged it.
Were you in middle school at the time?
I was in high school, but you only had to be 18 to drink or see Rated X movies, and I was 16 with a fake ID that said I was 18.
But the ID was for your high school, not like a state.
Yeah, it was an open high school ID.
It sounds like a pretty easy ID.
I used to buy beer with it. I got into I saw Autobiography of a Flea with Johnny Wad, John Holmes. Think Boogie Nights.
Yeah. John Holmes. Yeah. Have you read that short nonfiction story that Boogie Nights is based on?
No.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's kind of crazier than it's actually a lot crazier than the plot of Boogie Nights. John Holmes is a lot less likable of a person than Dirk Diggler. His arc is not quite as sort of a hero's quest, if you will.
No. Yeah. So he was a bad person doing bad things is pretty much all you need to know, I guess.
Yeah, but in like a cool, sexy, like coked out way.
But in a cool, sexy, coked out way?
With a really big penis.
With a giant dick that didn't get all that hard. It was kind of spongy from what I heard.
You heard his dick was spongy?
Yeah, there's some like
documentary
about
John Holmes' penis.
Yeah, about John Holmes, and they interview women that slept with him and stuff.
It was very large, but rather sponge-like, more like the cake than the animal. But yeah.
So anyway, I saw the fate.
This is on topic to our film. Actually,
I saw The Fate of the Furious at the Metro 4 Theater in Santa Barbara on State Street, and there were about 7 other people in the cinema.
Problem number 1
for the 2:00 screening, and I found the movie to be completely incoherent. And as I said before the podcast started, I think that when they lost Paul Walker, the franchise lost its soul.
Weirdly, there's only like one movie. I've seen them all, and there's only one film where I like give any shit about Paul Walker's character. For the most part, I find him just like
window dressing,
the blandest, most useless, like basically a stand-in. Their current writer, his name is I want to say like Chris Morgan.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what he looks like, but I feel like he just looks like the 50-year-old writer version of Paul Walker, and he's just like, well, you need one boring white guy, and you saw in this one, no spoilers, but they like replaced him basically with Clint Eastwood's son, who looks kind of like him, and he really is playing what I think was originally written to be Paul Walker's role, and they kind of twisted it So it's that character who is like the by the book CIA dude. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, to me, this genre is spectacle. That's what the genre is. It's
Yes.
just spectacle.
Agreed.
And I mean, give me a James Bond movie any day of the week
I'll take this way over James Bond movies.
over this. I so much more appreciate style, and I think that this thing is so kitchen sink. I really felt like they were just
Their
they
set
just
pieces are
kept
out
throwing.
of control, man. It's amazing.
But it's not amazing. You've already seen everything. You know that it's all fake. So, is it really that enjoyable? I don't need to see, super fast cars, which I personally know that from watching enough Doug DeMuro videos on YouTube that those cars drive very rough. There's not drive in a regular car like Lamborghini. You can feel the paint on the asphalt, and you got a Lambo on ice. Give me
there's one none of those cars could work on ice.
No,
like they do like reference like one of the cars is having problems, but none of them could do it. There's some funny things in those movies that are consistent. One is that everyone in their cars, they never allude to them having some sort of walkie-talkie system. They're just in cars 25 yards away from each other just talking regular volume. I can just lose myself in it. I believe it. These they're superheroes with cars. It's the weirdest thing. Like some people describe them as like Marvel films, but instead of having superpowers or anything, they're just really good at driving cars, and they have to always get in a situation where that is what will solve the problem.
There's gonna be there are sequences that are really fun to watch. I thought the opening sequence where it's the rival, there's a lot at stake in this race.
They're in Cuba.
In Cuba, yeah. And I just love what they did with the streets and using Cuban streets and the way the ridiculous way that the car goes in reverse. I won't say more.
Why would it go faster in reverse?
No, but and the engine's burning. You see the engine is turning hot orange, and the flames are eating through the flames are eating through the floorboard.
It's so dumb. It's amazing.
Yeah, but I liked, and it's Vin Diesel, so it's got everything.
Really
it's got everything you need
Diesel.
for that, to announce the latest one.
I like Vin Diesel because he's kind of just like the modern manifestation of like the will to power. I've heard these stories that he was just a bouncer in.
Yeah, I know somebody who knew him.
Yeah, he was
back
just
when I first moved here.
He was just like a bouncer on the Jersey boardwalk. Oh, is he in Hell's Kitchen at that point?
Yep.
I think he's from like Weehawken or something.
Yeah,
and he was a bouncer, and he would say this stuff, which is like, I'm gonna be a big movie star someday.
That's right. That's right.
And he is,
Yep.
and he's not just a movie star, he's the producer of these things, and I think he's in the 1% now, right? Like
He's got to be.
Like that last movie made $1 billion,
Yeah.
and he's A, the star, B, is the producer getting points at the back end. It's just Vin Diesel's gonna run for president. That's all I'm saying.
Well, The Rock certainly is.
Well, The Rock and Vin Diesel have some bad blood, so I think they might run from opposing parties. They really.
And on that note,
Vin versus The Rock.
On that note, shifting into Kieślowski. Oh my goodness, I've already had too much beer.
Krzysztof
Kieślowski. We are doing the middle film, White.
It's kind of a weird way to jump into a 3-part series, but yeah, we're doing White.
Yeah, we jumped right in with both feet, and when we first spoke about doing it, I mentioned that when I originally watched the trilogy 20 years ago, or however many years ago it was, this was my favorite one. But now I've watched them all again recently, and it's no longer my favorite one.
Well, which one is your favorite?
Red.
Red is the third one?
Red is the third one. And I guess we should just, for the sake of...
Let's tee up what this franchise is.
Yeah. So what you have is Krzysztof Kieślowski was a Polish director who had made a lot of movies in the Polish film system, which gave all these grants to make movies. So this
is under the USSR.
You
yeah,
tell me.
I think so, because I mean, it fell in '88, and this movie's from what is it? 80? It's like it's like '93 or something like that. For the most
90.
part,
Yeah, 93.
for the most part, he's working under.
Actually, White was 94.
Okay, so for the most part, he's working under.
So he makes the
control.
Double Life of Veronique,
Which maybe
with-
actually after the fall, but yeah.
what's that?
Which I think was after the fall of the Berlin Wall, but
Okay. So that's the last film that he makes with government money, and that film becomes an international smash, and everyone is talking about Kieślowski, this guy Kieślowski. But what they don't know, for what most critics and audiences didn't know, was that he was at the end of his career, and the money was taken away. The grants were taken away, so he had to get all these different investors from France and other places. If you see the beginning of the film, there's all these different production companies. So he made the trilogy with in a new formula, with a new formula for having the finances to make it. But he knew that this was going to be his final project. He wasn't going to make any more movies after this, and he didn't. He died. He made these 3 films, and then he died.
Yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of people watching movies might not have any idea of what all those title cards that come up before them like really are signifying. Like you get some sense that these are the groups that like made the movie. And what's really kind of most odd is when you see a film which just has 2 of them. You have basically Disney and then like Jerry Bruckheimer's company. You watch a foreign film, there's going to be like sometimes like 10 of these because you have to patchwork together $3-4 million.
Oh yeah,
to make a movie.
now it's very commonplace. But he decided on using the French flag in left to right order. The trilogy does go in that order: blue, white, red, and have them loosely based on the political ideals of the French Republic, liberté,
égalité, fraternité.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Equalité, fraternité.
Liberté, égalité, fraternité. You remember that they hung that right under the.
So similarly to the Decalogue, it's a very loose translation of what the words are: liberté, égalité, fraternité. And if he said that if the money had been from a different nationality, that they would have titled the films differently, but the films would probably have been the same.
Interesting.
So that's kind of quirky when you think about it, because this film is égalité, which is equality.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how he pivots it all off of a revenge plot. So it's a very twisty, cunning premise to the way he treats it.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to put a bow on what you're saying. Is I think it was an interesting time in the international film and burgeoning of what we call like the indie film world, to see that people from across the world were cobbling together money to make something. And there's something in that quote from Kieślowski about how he would have called it something else if it was from a different country, how you have to take into consideration the people that are giving you funding and cast it in certain people and put it in certain places to make it work. And Kieślowski, interestingly, I think is referencing that concept and is being overt about that, where maybe you would try to hide it and the Great Wall, for example, is someone equally trying to cobble together money from disparate places and casting it in such a way, and it's a fucking nightmare. Where an amazing filmmaker like Krzysztof Kieślowski, it makes something fucking fascinating.
Right, and also the way that he translates economics into the story is a prevailing theme of the story. So we should talk about Mr. Carroll, our downtrodden, misanthropic.
I don't know. Here's what's about Carroll. Carroll got dick problems.
That is the truth, and sadly, his wife, they were married, right?
Yeah, well, under God, I don't know. because
she takes him to court, right? It's 'cause- so they're married. She takes him to court because he's not able to maintain his husbandry duties.
right. So yeah, we begin in a court scene, which for fans of Red, White, and Blue, and maybe we'll do this series. I think it's interesting not do it all in a row. We see a
Blue, white, and red.
I was just naming colors.
No. But you got to go in order. It's blue, white, and red.
We're not going in order.
Well, but he named them
Right.
in order.
Yeah, blue, white, red. We see some characters in this very opening part that actually appear in the other movies. This is one of the scenes where the films intercut. And anyway, it's a divorce proceeding, and Carol
Intersect.
what did I say?
Intercut.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Intersect.
they're films. They are intercut.
They're intersecting.
Intercut. You know.
They're intersecting.
They do, yeah. Anyway, so it's a divorce proceeding, and the what's at stake is that the marriage has not been consummated, and so we kind of have a guy who's like a nebbish, and he's Polish.
Short. He's stumbly.
I can't
His
relate.
clothing is all rumpled.
I can't relate to this man one bit.
and he wants to be a romantic, but he can't even get close enough to start to become a romantic. I guess this is the lesson. This is the lesson of an impotent man. That's the allegory that we're looking at.
I've been a fan of these movies for a long time. This series, I often tell people, are like a group of my favorite films. When I want an arty answer, I say this. When I want a real answer, I say Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. But this one I liked a lot and thought I had a lot of positive opinions about. The plot of it now kind of irks me in a certain way. So let's keep going on what's happening. He's
okay. So he's reflecting the Carol is a reflection of the filmmaker. He's the filmmaker's alter ego. This movie is a black comedy. That's the genre. You could call it comedy, but it's pretty dark, and people do die. So I think it meets the criteria for a black comedy. But he represents the filmmaker in that he's economically downtrodden. Not only
and ethnically Polish.
Right. He's a barber. That's his skill.
Yeah.
That he has is that he's a barber and that he can play the comb with a piece of paper in it.
Let's remind me to bring that up. Okay, I'll just do it right now.
Yeah.
He is playing a song on that comb. Again, let's go with the plot. He's playing a song on that comb.
Yeah.
And it's the song which is written in the first film by the character of the dead composer, and it is attributed to that score is attributed to a composer named Vanden Boedenmeier in this franchise, who is fictional, and it's actually by a real composer whose name I cannot pronounce at all. But that's another like weird little intersection of these films is that song he's playing. But anyway, so
Julie Delpy plays
she's divorcing this guy.
She's the bitch. There's no two ways around it. No, she's really giving it to him.
So I mean, I don't want to call a woman that, but honestly, like this movie kind of is painting her a bit like that. Like it is.
Yeah, I mean that's the archetype that she's fulfilling in the narrative.
It's like this divorce proceeding is extraordinarily emasculating,
humiliating. It's awful. It's every man's just worst nightmare.
And it's
yeah, you're right. He's unable to consummate the marriage, which is I understand, but she should be working with him. They should be going to therapy or something.
Yeah, and she is from France. He's Polish, and I think
and she's gorgeous. She's Julie Delpy. She's stunningly gorgeous, and he's this schlub.
So from the beginning, there is
that birds poop on.
There's this extraordinary sort of gulf between them, and I can like very quickly with the Kieślowski film look to sort of what is the metaphorical level of this, and then also the personal level at the same time. And I feel like very quickly you're feeling like at this Polish filmmaker, he's looking at the French sort of ethos and personhood embodied in Julie Delpy, and just he doesn't measure and he can't consummate this relationship.
It's an incompatible relationship, and that's what I find really interesting about it is that because Carol becomes obsessed with a dysfunctional relationship, and he carries that around with him in everything that he does. And he does go from rags to riches. It does have a rags to this story definitely has a rags to riches quality because he becomes quite successful businessman. But his
in a certain Eastern European sketchy
black market
over vodka sort of way,
yeah, very very mafioso, as I suppose all Russian black market things
he
are.
he basically like Vlad Putin's his way back into this woman's heart. But
yeah, I mean we're gonna have to give it away because should we? The thing that he does?
Let's
All right,
let's
we'll
keep
hang
plotting
on to
through
it.
it
No,
and like
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
go on these tangents because I like where his so he's
he's befriended. He's almost suicidal.
and
He's down on his luck. He has
he's
no money.
Yeah, he's very like he leaves this divorce proceedings and why is he immediately his card so it's basically you get divorced against your will because you can't consummate this marriage. It's interesting, right, that we don't know anything else about the relationship. We don't even know exactly how they met, like if they get along. But she's basically like, he can't get it up. I'm not going to marry him. And I guess you could probably have that marriage annulled is probably like actually.
Okay, well, here's the
that
difference. Annulment, it has to do with the Catholic Church. So divorce is a legal matter and annulment is a church matter.
Okay.
So that's
good.
Yeah, so that's
clarified.
Yeah, that's the distinction. But
it is
but he carries around all of this love-hate for this woman. And that's his driving, that's his whole motivation in life is to get divorced. Dominique is her name.
And I'll kind of from the beginning start like put out there that I feel like she's kind of just an empty object who on one hand totally loves this guy for not really any reason that's stated. But he can't have sex
I don't
with
think she
her.
loves him. I think in a way she's a MacGuffin. In a way she's really just there.
I think she's France, honestly. Like to just like I was saying,
Sure.
to call the metaphor. She is the idea of like making it like in this geographic context, you know.
Right. That's true. Yeah, and he's having that economic effect on Poland, which is interesting because that's what's going on in the story. But we have the beer here, and we just keep drinking it but not talking about it. So I think that you should introduce because you picked out the beer for us tonight.
Honestly, I was thinking less about the title of the movie than that what he's chasing after is like this sort of she's blonde, right? Joey Delpy in this, she's blonde.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So we're drinking the UFO White. UFO's a brand that makes like wheat beer, some like Belgian kind of stuff, and so this is
well, this is Harpoon.
Oh, is UFO Harpoon?
Yeah, it's from Harpoon Brewery.
Oh yeah, they put it down there. Okay, so it's Harpoon's a brewery. UFO's the subtitle. I don't know. It's the
Harpoon's
white,
unfiltered offering. It's an unfiltered wheat beer. And it looks kind of white. It has coriander and orange appeal.
Yeah, I don't know what the does the white refer to the wheatness? I don't know because it's actually an orange beer, but what's your clue on why you'd call it a white beer?
A wheat beer. It's a wheat beer that's white.
Yeah.
Harpoon was started in 1986, so it's been around for a long time. And this is a nice little refreshing summer beer. It's really hot in New York today.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't claim this is a craft beer, to be honest. I always got Harpoons when I lived in Annapolis. It's very sort of like I think seaside beer.
Yeah.
And like that was my go-to whenever I'd go to any of the Irish pubs there where I went to school in Annapolis. And this is, if you're a fan of oh crap, what is the other
But they
a shock top or something like that.
But
this
they
is
are
a lighter.
They are. It is a craft beer. They are a craft.
You're calling it a craft beer? You don't think they're too big?
Yeah.
What point do you stop being a craft beer? You think when
Well, I mean, look at Sierra. They're huge, and they make the torpedo, which is it's been a standard for a long time. So,
What do you think the tipping point is?
Well, I don't
past
think
draft?
it's about how big it becomes. I mean, then beers like Sculpin, Ballast Point got bought out, but they're still making really great beers. I think it's really about the types of beers that they're making. If they're developing recipes that are.
Because let me throw you, because I want to say it's sort of when you're going for like a specialty sort of blend, but let me throw a counterexample. Sam Adams has fucking 50 kinds of beer. Every single one of them sucks, and I don't consider them a craft beer company.
Yeah, but Sam Adams is a craft beer company. I know it. I know it's. I mean, they're not. Well, yeah, they're not Budweiser. But yeah,
they're probably owned by Budweiser.
But well, by now it's probably true. All right, so Kieślowski made the 3 films. This is the comedy of the bunch. The first one's a tragedy. This is the comedy, and the final one is the drama.
Yeah, drama. I think used correctly of like.
So red is a drama, and blue is the tragedy.
Sure. So like let's keep going into like he's still in Paris at the point where we like dropped off.
Well, let's talk about the some of the filmmaking stuff, because Kieślowski does a lot of really uses imagery in very inventive and inciting ways, and I love when you see the luggage going. And at the beginning of the movie, the movie starts out with you're following this piece of luggage as it rolls into the.
It's
airplane.
A cool device because you're seeing it intercut in a bunch of scenes for the first maybe 6th of the movie. You see this, and you're actually having essentially flashbacks from the point where that scene is taking place, which is that this piece of luggage, which is this very large piece of luggage that our main character Carol has been carrying around, and he's
in France, because he lives with his wife in Dominique in France, and
now he's totally broke, and he meets a friend in the subway who wants who's also Polish. They connect on this, and they decide that they're going to do each other a favor, and the favor that this guy is going to do for Carol is he's going to ship him back to France as luggage on a plane. And in return,
I love it. The guy is small enough that he can get into the suitcase. He curls up in the suitcase. It's a pretty good comic bit, I gotta say.
I can't relate to this at all. And in return, this guy's like, I'll do this for you. You gotta do me a favor. When you're back in Poland, I need you to kill a guy. And Carol, who's...
Right, yeah, but the guy wants to be killed.
Well, you just fucking ruined it, dude. Like, we don't find that out until they're in the subway.
No, but he tells him about this guy that he knows, who wants somebody to kill him.
Oh, right, that's how... Well, yeah, I knew there was like a twist. So he's like, someone needs... It's like someone wants you to kill them.
Right.
And then later...
Right, it's not like you're getting a hitman assignment. The person that is going to be... that you're gonna kill is the person making the assignment.
It's a reveal. It's definitely like a reveal, and it's like kind of comedic and like dark, where it's like who am I killing? And it's like it's me. Like I forget when the reveal happens, but it's not as like he doesn't go to Poland knowing that his friend wants him to murder him. But in any case, like
so there's a lot of allegory in this one construct that you can extrapolate on.
What do you think?
Between Poland and France, these ideas of smuggling yourself back into your own country as if you're not a part of that. You're not a part of that country. It's also, I mean, it's just an interesting thing that the guy is making him this offer, but the best that he can do to help him as a Pole is to stick him in a suitcase. So right there, you're getting an economic message. Times are so hard that they can't even afford to buy the poor guy a ticket.
Right. Yeah. So let's put this in context. The Euro is about to happen. Right. Which doesn't fully come into effect, I believe, till around like 2000. But that's a process that was already happening at that point, and someone in the relationship between these like economically very divergent countries, and it's super stark in this film when we go from Paris to Poland. I think in Krakow. I don't know. I'm not sure which city they're in Poland. But
93, by the way, is when November 1st of 93 is when the euro took effect.
oh really? So why am I thinking about 2000 as being is when the EU for some reason like hit?
Well,
some
that's when the European Union formed.
Well, that certainly makes a lot more
Oh
sense.
no, actually, you're right. It didn't become the currency until 99.
So
the union was formed in
right. So and that's exactly the
in 93.
period that's like leading up to here is so you have these countries that really could not have like sort of stiffer borders between them, but are at the same time very like it has a lot of like osmosis. And to be, say, a Polish filmmaker or just someone in the creative arts who's trying to compete and engage with something on the cosmopolitan like level and aristocratic like virtues of France, it's a lot to live up to. And I don't know, I see a lot of like what happens when you mix these countries and you have to sort of live up to it. So what's he do? He makes himself into the person that his French wife would want to be with, and he convinces himself that he's worthy of her. You know, it's
right. So it's making this commentary that the French are very materialistic, and that they're somehow indoctrinating the Polish people into this mentality. But what I really find interesting is how he's so self-destructive in the effort to get his revenge.
Well, okay. One question that I have for you is, it's interesting that it's really interesting to put it as revenge, but too, one thing I want to point out, this guy left Poland, married this woman at some point, is trying to like make it there, but is just like utterly like failing. You know, it's sort of a story of like someone from the Midwest moving to New York and trying to make it work, and then they get like evicted from their apartment.
Well, it's also, what does an impotent guy do with the girl that he can't have? He wants to put her under glass so that he can look at her.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of don't want the movie to be that kind of dark, but there is a darkness to it. But one thing I want to point out, this guy's good at what he does. Like, he left Poland with a beauty salon with his name on it, which is now in neon.
Right.
And everyone in town is fucking asking for him.
Oh yeah,
he comes in and he's after being kidnapped as luggage by the baggage handlers who were trying to steal him without realizing he's a man.
He gets stolen.
Yeah, he sleeps for like 3 days on his friend's couch. His friend who now runs the salon.
Wait a minute, you gotta talk about how
he gets stolen.
He's the piece of luggage that gets ripped off, and then
because they're thinking it's just full of gold or something.
And they're Russians, right? That steal him and take him out, carry him out. And
are they Russian? They're not Polish guys. They're baggage claim guys.
No,
right?
they're gangsters.
I mean, who's not a gangster in Poland apparently from this movie?
Well, he's certainly not.
He's not. No.
Carol's not. He becomes one. But
so
it wasn't to begin with.
But I just find it really interesting that in his context, he's kind of the shit. You know what I mean? Like, it is when he...
Well, he becomes a businessman. He becomes
before that, I'm saying it's like, with this salon, he has the skills to pay the bills in Poland. He's a big deal, and he's missed,
Right.
But he, at some point, chased, he chased tail. He had this ambition to make it big in another country and to be with this woman who, it's hard to tell whether Julie Delpy's character is designed to be like fairly like hollow and like unrelatable. You can't tell much about her, and that's the point.
Well, okay, but let's pin because you're honing in on how he's a really clever guy, and he is. And so what and let's just talk about that scene. He's with his mafioso boss who he's gotten a job for.
This is where he starts,
and he pretends
turning.
like he's sleeping in the back of the car while the guy
His
is
character-
cutting a deal with this other gangster, and he eavesdrops on their conversation, and he uses that intelligence to go buy this land from this peasant, and then he owns the land and can sell it to split it up with the gangsters.
This is the
so that's how he
turning
makes
point.
his that's the turning point. That's how he makes his millions.
And what does it say about you, and like what is, you know, just cultural context? What can we look at more objectively? What does it mean that him becoming
so he's a
this
spy, an opportunist spy?
Like what do we think of him changing in that way? Because it's kind of like you know, like the movie where like a nerd becomes
like you said,
a badass bully jock.
Yeah, we think that it's smart. We think that he's a cunning guy. You know, he got his comeuppance. He was clever enough to take advantage of.
Well, is he selling his soul, or is he doing like an objectively awesome? Because I know of like Kieślowski's like opinion on human nature from other things a bit, or I just see him portray other sympathetic characters, and a guy who would you know, kind of like commit fraud like this, or just have this transactional attitude is not actually who he thinks the sort of heroes of society.
Well,
are.
he certainly is an unreliable narrator and an anti-hero, and
that's my only point. Is that he's an anti-hero.
He's
right?
an anti-hero,
Yeah.
and
in the Kieślowski verse, I feel
right,
like.
so there's a lot of stuff going on where the movie, it's not about what it's about, but when he gets to the tableau, which really to me is just a devastating tableau. I can remember it very clearly just sitting here thinking about it. It really makes you just feel. I just feel awful for everyone.
Which
just
tableau?
feel where he's standing in the courtyard of the jail or the prison.
I think this is the first time I got a real sense of what this movie, or starting to sense what this movie is about, because it's really dark. It's taking you along in this journey as if
it's lighthearted.
As it's lighthearted.
Yeah.
But like if you haven't seen it, I'm very confused why you're listening to this, but I'm glad that you did. We'll leave a couple dots out, but he gets his ex-wife, soon to be his wife again, imprisoned, and then in a very kind of chivalric way, he's like broken her, and she loves him, and like he's earned her love. Like it doesn't, like it's.
Well, he plays with this theme that you can buy anything, and that's what he does. He uses his money to buy a fantasy, a really messed up, evil little fantasy, and it works. And you can make of that as you will, in political terms or personal terms or economic terms or
there's
international terms.
There's something, and I, not being European, it's hard to look into what he's saying about these countries without just like appealing to like stereotypes in a way. But like there's almost something that's like you can take the boy out of Poland, but you can't take the Poland out of the boy. Is like he makes it on the next level, but kind of only by really giving in to the most like base and transactional elements of his like native country. When before, like he was a successful person in a straightforward way. He had a skill that he turned into a profession, that he turned into like a good living.
But he became obsessive. I don't know, like a split personality kind of thing. He became obsessive compulsive about this woman who he was never compatible with to begin with. If he had just put that energy into finding someone new, the guy needed to go on some dates. He needed to forget about that woman.
What's this movie
she was a bad animal to begin with.
What's this movie say about dicks, Cole?
We all got them, except women don't. I don't. I don't know what you mean.
I kind of feel like it's like it's not the lesson of the movie, except maybe it really is. It's just like perhaps he couldn't consummate this marriage because he didn't love her. Perhaps there wasn't something like deeply missing in him, because what I really see looking at the movie this time is he's honestly like less of a honest
No,
person
see,
who's
I
less
think
of
I
himself in a
think
way.
he's just an impotent guy, and I think that's why he didn't go after any other women.
But he
I
no,
think
but what? So why is he able? What he does consummate it at this point. At the end, she comes back to the hotel. They do make love, and he's this new fucking badass, like hair greased back self. But
yeah, but that's not what he wants.
you say what do you mean?
Well, because he wants to have her under glass. He just wants to look at her. He doesn't want to live with her.
Right. So it's like it's not enough that he somehow turns himself into the person who feels justified to have sex with her, or he's like able to. He like owns her in a certain way.
Well, there's a very thought-provoking film. It's beautifully shot. The white aspect of it, Kieślowski brings out the white through the snow in Poland. Everything looks really stark and ugly. I think it's
And if there's every time there's an orgasm, which is not very often, but it fades to white.
It's not. It's the ugliest film of the trio. Let's put it that way. It's not the most visually comfortable film to look at.
It's interesting because that's how he's depicting Poland.
It is how he's
as
depicting
someone who is presenting it to the world. He doesn't make it look like a
No,
wonderful
he's
place.
going for authenticity.
Muddy ass streets.
Blech.
It looks like Deadwood.
Blech. It does look
And yet his movies make me really want to go to
dismal.
Poland. You know, it's a Polish word that I've learned from watching his movies.
Tell me.
Is something that Borat says. It's
I love it.
Yekshemesh.
Yeah, what's that mean?
I think it means thank you.
Oh, excellent. Well, Yakshemesh, Mike.
Yekshemesh, Cole.
And Yakshemesh, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for listening. Please do us a favor and share us with your friends. Have them come and like our stuff on SoundCloud. You can, of course, find the podcast on my site, colesmithy.com, where you can become a patron and help support Le Grande Bouffe, the Big Feast. And so, remember to turn your cell phones off when you're walking, driving, riding a bicycle, or watching a movie.